Hello everybody, this is Brienne from Pigment, and today I'm going to be coloring a book from a featured artist. It's from Xavier Arts. The artist of this book is called Keisha Becerra, if I'm saying her last name correctly. I've spoken with her, but I'm so bad with last names. Anyway, so I'm going to be coloring this piece by her. I'm going to be focusing on doing dark colored skin tones, and I'm also going to be touching base on a few grayscale tips and tricks that might help you out in your grayscale coloring. So without further ado, let's go. So I'm going to look through my colors and I'm going to pick something. These are all colors that I've made, and I'm going to pick something that I think might work very nicely. And I think We Are United to Start would probably work, so we'll go with that. Now, I like doing my background first when I do grayscales. That's just kind of how I work. So I'm going to go to my tool button here and I'm going to pick Freehand because I want to make sure I'm in freehand mode so that it doesn't matter if my colors overlap when I'm doing the background, because I'm going to go all over that again. So I'm going to pick my fade, and then I'm going to pick some colors here, and I'm going to start with pink, maybe a blue. I don't have any particular plan when I color, really, ever, honestly. I just kind of go with how I feel at the time. It's kind of my creative way of doing things. But if you want to make a plan and you want to do some research, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. I do research for certain pieces that I'm not used to coloring, just to get an idea. Okay, so I'm just trying to get a background going here. I'm not sure exactly what kind of background I'm going to do yet, so I'm just kind of playing with color. I think I might do like a starry kind of background with just like undertones of the pink and the blues that you see here. I'm not going to worry too much about my background now. I will finish that at the end of the piece. Now that I got some color in place, I'm going to focus on coloring in my skin. When I do grayscale, I always kind of work my way outward, inward, but not necessarily with portraits. You want to start with your background most of the time, and then do your skin, and then your hair, and then your smaller details all around. So anyway, so let's get started on the skin. I'm going to pick this darker brown. I'm going to make it a little bit darker on the scale. I have my airbrush here at a very low brush size, high opacity, and I'm just going to start filling in the skin. I zoom in a lot because I find it helps with accuracy. Going to bring up that brush size a bit to fill a larger area quickly. I'm not worried about going over my hair. None of that matters because like I said, I'm starting my way in with the skin, and then I'll be doing all my finer details after going over all that. So I don't need to worry about it. Okay, so that's her hair there. Bring up the brush size if you want for big areas. It helps you fill them quicker. Okay, so it might not look like much right now, but we got our color down and that's what we wanted. So now I'm going to bring the color to even a deeper tone of that brown. I'm gonna make it darker on the scale, which you've just seen. And I'm going to bring down my brush size just a tad. I want it around between 3 and 1, depending on where I'm shading. And I'm gonna start shading in some areas here. Actually, I just want to touch this little spot up here before I start. I just went to my recent colors to pick up the color I was using because I deepened it. No, I think that's fine. Okay. Now I'll go back to my deeper one on the scale here. And I'm going to start with my airbrush on a little bit higher brush size. And I'm gonna start just shading where I think some shades might be. Of course, across the hairline, it's gonna be a little bit darker because the hair is falling. Around the nose as well, there's always a little bit of shading detail there, and you can kind of see from how she drew the picture. It's gonna go around. Now there's a lot of fine tuning to do when it comes to grayscale, I find. I definitely go over things quite a bit. There's nothing wrong with that. It just takes a while. Oop, the wrong color. This was this color, okay. Nope. This one, there we go. So just keep in mind that it's a process, and it's not about going fast. It's not about finishing quickly. It's just about relaxing, having fun, and learning, creating something that you're gonna love at the end. So take your time. It doesn't matter if you do 100 pieces in a day or 1 piece in a day. Sometimes I do a piece and it takes me a week. I just recently did a piece and I was busy, and literally I didn't finish it till about after a week. So I mean, don't worry about time constraints, just worry about creating something beautiful. And I'm just color matching here because I noticed that I kind of went out of the lines. So I'm just touching that up. Not that it really needs to be touched up at this early of a stage, but okay. So we're going to continue on with our dark shading. Now in grayscale, you kind of get hints of where the shadings should be. So I'm going to go, I keep on hitting my color wheel by accident. I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna start shading where she kind of drew lines, but don't always follow that to a T because then you'll get too much dark spots. Just keep it very light for now until we get our highlighting and stuff in and we really see our picture coming together. You do not want to so much solidify really dark, deep highlights. It's okay to have like around the chin where you know, but like other things like the lines in the neck and stuff, don't go too overboard with it. Just kind of let it be. I gave them a little bit of depth, but I'm not going nuts about it. Okay, and another thing I do when I'm doing grayscale sometimes is I like to define my lines. So if I don't find that the lines are defined, sometimes I do that myself. Now you don't have to do that. I'm actually gonna go to the regular palettes, skip down, get my black. I just find it kind of gives me definition visually to see where the picture is going. You don't have to do this. Just my process. Now I like to darken up the shades that I did, so I used the dark brown to make my shades. I'm still not done with my shades, by the way, but I started them. So where I started my shades, I'm just gonna start adding in, since I have the black already ready available, I'm just gonna contour this jawline to give it some definition. And these nostrils, I'm also going to color them in dark. I love doing different skin tones, even like blues and purples. It's fun to experiment and have fun. Okay, so we got that going. I'm gonna go back to my recent colors. I'm gonna pick out a little bit of a darker brown that I had going. I'm gonna just shade this nose a bit. I find it really does need some shading here to define it. I do my shades in steps. I always start with the darker color of what my overall picture is, and then I step in later with blacks once I've defined my shading areas, and I don't take over the shading area. I just kind of add definition and depth to it with the black in certain areas, depending on the picture. So it's kind of what I'm doing here now, and I'm bleeding over into the purple, but I'm going to leave it because I want fluid motion. I'll just fix it by color matching. I use that color match quite a bit. Now, if I can go back to my black and just kind of define some of these areas a little bit stronger. I'm just shading the eyelids here. I just kind of want to get some, they don't really look like her eyes are actually open. So I'm not too worried about them looking open. They look like they're mostly closed, so that's fine. But what I do want to do is make sure that I do the eyes proper shading justice so that they still look cohesive with the drawing. And this is how I usually do my skin tone processes, is I go in with my color that I'm going to want my base skin tone to be, and I fill it in. And then I do my shading, and then I kind of use the black to define the areas that I really want shading, and then I kind of play around with the dark brown and the black till I get kind of what I'm looking for. Don't be afraid to get in there with your shading. It's how I learned. It's how I think everyone learns from their past colorings. I'm actually just realizing something here. No, you know what? Not an issue. So you can see how got the shading around the nose, the eyes. I'm gonna have to fix this eye a little bit here. I'm just kind of deepening it up. Don't worry about that area there because it's going to be hair. So here we go with the shading being just about done. I always kind of fix it up, and as I go with highlighting and stuff it changes, but for the base shading I'm pretty okay with it right now. Almost. Okay, now I'm gonna grab one of these lighter browns on the scale and I'm going to lighten it up. And I'm going to bring my brush size up just probably 11, 10, around there somewhere. No, I need bigger. And I'm just gonna start getting my base highlights in. So my base highlights, what that means is I'm not doing my hard highlights yet. I'm just kind of getting some definition in there to show where my hard highlights will be put. You don't want to go too light too fast. This is shading in layers, so we want to take our time and get the lighter colors in place, and we'll get it going even lighter in a minute. So to kind of follow some natural contours of areas that you've defined with your shading. Now I want to highlight these eyelids. They're closed, but I want them to seem like they're reflecting light. I just brought down the brush size of the airbrush. Kind of add some finer detailings to those eyelids. It's going to go even further from there, but for now I am happy with that. I'm just going to continue with the layering I need to do here. Too bright too quick. And I always like to have, I don't know, this is just something I do. You don't have to do this, but I love putting a highlighted line around the chin. I find it really does add definition, but that's a bit light for the skin color. So I'm going to bring it up a bit, bring the brush size down a bit, and I'm not going to go so far in because she's doing a side. I think that's pretty much good right there. So you see, it takes a while to do shading. Shading, it really does happen in steps. And highlighting areas is a finesse of its own. So always remember to take your time. There's no rush. And experiment with your brush sizes. Experiment with your opacities. And your pressure that you add is a big, big deal. If I type, look how hard that looks. But if I come in here and I do a nice gentle line, very gentle, you get that subtle look. And another hint I can give you is when you zoom in close like that, it allows you to achieve drawing a straight line. It's very hard to do from afar, but if you zoom in, it allows you to follow better. Just a little hint I've picked up along the way. Now, right now I'm using almost straight up white. It's pretty much a very light cream to highlight her features. Where has my black gone? There you are. And don't worry about making mistakes either, because there's a back button. You'd always try things. You only get so many backs. I forget how many it is, so keep that in mind. But you can always try something up to a certain point, and if you don't like it, you can go back, which I think is really great. Sometimes you're not sure if you want to try something new, and you check it out, and it gives you the opportunity to decide if it's what you want to do with the piece. Okay, so we're going to highlight. I love highlighting cheekbones. I usually use a higher brush size, low pressure, but I usually go in the middle after and add a little dot of some sorts. I do want to make these cheekbones a little bit more dominant. And I do want them to blend with this highlighting. Okay, so the highlighting is somewhat in place. I do always adjust it as I go, but I like to know where my values are going to be. I like to know where my picture is going. Oh, a little black mark there. That's for me zooming. So I color match and just blend it out. It happens because I zoom in and out so much, so. So I'm just color matching and lightening a couple of places that I think should have a little bit of a lighter shadow. Remember, skin tones are made up of multiple colors. Okay, so I think the skin tone for now, doesn't mean I'm finished with it, just for now, I think it's all right. I'm just gonna go in on these lashes and do a little bit of tweaking. I need to probably be about at 0. Just wanted to get this a little bit darkened up so they don't look just kind of filled in the lashes a bit. I might come back to it. I touch things up as I see needed as my picture kind of comes together. This whole time I've been using airbrush. I'm just kind of shading, filling, accentuating features that I think need to be defined. Now these eyebrows. They're covered with hair, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a darker brown, and I'm just gonna kind of come in there with some strokes on, with still using the airbrush. I pretty much use the airbrush for the whole of my skin tones and features. I find the colors blend very well together with airbrush. Kind of putting some strokes. These are going to be some pretty easy eyebrows to do as they're not very thick, but I do like to add character to eyebrows. I don't like it when they look flat. I like it when they have a couple straggly hairs here and there. To me, it just looks natural. So sometimes I add or take away depending on what I think or feel about it. Now I'm going to go into the black and just kind of add some smaller strokes. And bring down the opacity a bit here, and I want to kind of just add this cream in here for highlight on the brow. Just kind of randomly put shades of this in here. Kind of gives them like a glossy effect almost, like it had like some sort of realism. Each step takes time though, so just remember that. It's not a race. Take your time and make something beautiful. Okay, so I got the eyebrows. I don't have to do anything for the eye color in this particular piece because our eyes are closed. The skin is on its way. Now lips. Let's get those lips done. So just to start, I'm just gonna grab this cream and I'm just going to color in the teeth in the back. I don't care if it goes on to the lips, that's fine. And I'm not sure what color I'm going to do for her lips. I've been thinking about it as I've been coloring, and I almost think I want to do just a natural nude, like very natural lip. I love doing red, I do red a lot, but in this case, I think I'm gonna stick with neutral. No particular reason, it's just the vibe I'm getting from this piece, so that's what I'm gonna go for. If it doesn't work, I can always change it. So I'm just filling in this nude skin tone. It's almost like a sand color. Like a pretty beach sand color. Give her some nude lips. So it'll look natural, but at the same time it'll almost look like a lip gloss. Okay, so with that being done, well, not done, I'm going to shade it. So I always get my base color down just like I did with the skin. I see I overlapped here. That happens to me a lot because I zoom in and out so much. I end up with these spots that I have to blend out. I just color match, not a big deal. Okay, so shading time for these lips. So again, I'm gonna go in with a dark brown. And I'm going to shade around the outer areas of the lips, or the inner areas, and the outer areas, sorry. So I'm just gonna get the inner areas done first. Again, I'm still using the airbrush. Bring up that opacity a bit. I'm gonna shade around these lips. I'm just doing rough shading. It doesn't have to be perfect because I will be tweaking it. Just stay in your area. And I always like to kind of do this lip line here. So I kind of go like that, and I always kind of like to get this natural looking, like almost a dewy lip crease. See on the side of the mouth like that? I don't know, I just like doing that. And I find it looks very natural. Then I'm going to bring up the brush size a little bit and just start adding a little bit of deeper shades around where I started. Around where some of these crease lines are in the lips. I just picked up my cream because I just noticed that I want to accentuate that highlight. Okay, so that's like basically the base of the lip. I haven't even started with the highlighting yet, which I am going to be doing very, very shortly. I think I might have lost my true black in translation here. Yeah, I did. So go back to my palette, I'm already in it, and then go down and pick my black out again. I really use black a lot, but in small doses. I try not to overdo it. It's a very powerful color, or shade I should say. It really can make a difference in transforming shades and depths, but it can also ruin your picture. But I mean, you can't really ruin a picture because you can always go back and fix it. So just keep that in mind. It's just a very powerful tool. Let's just leave it at that. It can make or break a picture. You don't want to overdo it when it comes to shading anyway. Try not to. So I do apply at different pressures. I want to kind of mention, like I was talking about a little bit earlier, like right now when I'm using the brush, I'm using a very light pressure. I'm not pressing hard. The harder you press, the less results you're going to get with the overall features that like you're trying to achieve, right? I mean, if you're trying to go for something dark and bold, then press hard, but otherwise it's good to experiment with this and kind of get a feel. If you use the pencil or if you use your finger, if you're using an Android device, just get a feel for pressures. It's important, it really is. So I feel like I got a nice base layer for this. Just want to add some shading over the teeth here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of these browns and I'm just going to bring it down to like a creamy tone. I'm going to bring my brush size down a little bit there. And I'm just going to start, no, I want it down even more. Bring it down to 0. That's what I love about a hairbrush. You can bring the brush size down to 0. So I'm just going to get some kind of lines in for these lips. There's no really specific way. I just try to follow the natural curve of the lip. And then I'm gonna just add a little highlight in there. Now that I got that in, I'm going to go to my white and I'm just going to kind of follow it and go over it. And if you want to make these lips even more lustrous, you can. Just kind of taking some of this Okay. So like I was saying, if you want to get some extra shine in, just grab your laser tool, bring the opacity all the way up, bring your brush size down as far as you can. So I'm going to go down to 4%. That's as low as the laser goes. I'm going to go to the corner of the lips. Oops, wrong color. With the white. Actually, I want white. So I'm going to go, just kind of go over those creases, but not the whole thing, just the edges or where you think those deep highlights will be on those lips. And just kind of add in there. We'll give it some depth. And I overlapped again. I do this a lot, but it's no big deal. Okay. So there are some shiny lips. And I did a nude / natural, not so much natural. It almost looks like a toned lip gloss, which is cool. I'm fine with that. Doesn't quite look like a natural lip color, but it looks like it's wearing something natural-ish. So just define the lips a little bit there. Even right here, defining this area will make a difference. Like I said, I lighten and I change skin tone as I go, as I see the picture developing. So I'm just kind of lightening up some areas. Again, this whole time I've been using the airbrush. So there is the skin so far and the lips so far. They are highlighted quite lovely and shiny. I always go over my stuff when I'm done and make sure what I was trying to achieve. You need shading in the corner of the lips, I find. It just doesn't look right if you don't have it, and especially around the lip line. Okay, so let's just say for the purpose that we will be coming back to it, but for now, let's say that the skin and the features are done-ish for now. Next, I'm probably going to do the dress, then the hair, then the... Well, I am back and ready to color. I believe I'm going to start with the shirt. So I really kind of like this leafy pattern going through the shirt. So I think I'm going to do a nice green. I'm gonna actually, I like the greens in roller rink. I use them once in a while. So I'm gonna start with this dark green maybe. I'm just gonna fill it in with airbrush, a little bit of a higher opacity because the way this shirt is defined is kind of different. I like it, it's different. So a little bit, maybe a little bit higher, okay, should be good there. So I'm just kind of doing this darker-ish turquoisey kind of blue green, but there's going to be some definite highlights in here. Then I'm going to grab this little bit of a lighter green, and I'm actually going to switch over for a second to my watercolor. I'm going to bring down my opacity. Just a small watercolor is very strong, so I'm going to bring it down. My brush size about 50%, I guess. Maybe a bit lower. It's bleeding. It's maybe around 20. And I'm just gonna dabbing very gently. I'm just playing with brush size and opacity to kind of get some lighter areas in the shirt and then have some darker areas as well. I don't want to lose the darker areas. Now I'm going to bring my brush size back down, leave my opacity where it is and see how it works out, and just kind of tap in where these almost like leaf strokes are. That's what it reminds me of anyway. It's kind of why I went for the green. I'm just going to go to my airbrush tool after my tapping. I just want to kind of get some defined areas in here. So I'm using the airbrush. I'm bringing that first color I used down to a darker hue. And I'm just going to shade a bit here. And I'm thinking about maybe even adding some yellow, but let's see here first. I want to kind of get what I'm doing done here. I'm using the black airbrush, smaller brush size, high opacity. I'm just trying to get like this definition of this shirt, but I don't want it to be overwhelming. Want it to look natural. Okay, now back to the yellow idea. I was thinking of trying a bright yellow in here just to see how it looks. Turn that opacity up. I'm just fixing a little bleed over here. And I'm just going to shade gently around the shirt. In some areas. Ooh, too big. Yeah, I actually really like that yellow. It adds some texture and light to this shirt. I love layering with watercolor. I do it when I make my skies, and I think it's a really excellent tool to use. I'm even using some orange now. See how ideas change. But you know what? I'm liking it. I'm liking this colorful, fun top that we're getting here. It's nice. Now I'm going to go back to my airbrush, and I'm just gonna bring the brush size down a little tad here. And I just want to start just kind of going over this area. I'm just kind of trying to add a little bit of definition to it. I like the whimsical feel, so I don't want to lose that. I'm just kind of trying to give it a little bit of definition. I like that. Very pretty. Pretty colors. Just kind of going in with the yellow and just lightly highlighting just small pieces just to kind of incorporate the yellow a bit more in it, because I actually really like the yellow. Looks nice. And I'm going to do the same with the orange. I'm just adding light strokes on about a number 2 brush size with the airbrush over top of the watercolor that I did for the base of this almost tropical looking shirt here. Very, very cute. Now, back to what I was doing, highlighting. I wanted to do the shirt before I did the glasses because I didn't know what color I wanted my glasses to be until I found a shirt palette. Now I'm even like a little bit more confused because I had something in mind and now my mind has sort of changed a little bit. I didn't realize I was gonna really dig this shirt color. See? Good to try new things. Good, good, good. I'm just going around. Every time I color, as I notice things, I get to them, right? So I noticed that the cleavage was a little bit off, so then I'm just gonna add a little highlight to the chest area to kind of define it. It all goes in steps. Nothing is just perfect at once. If you even consider it being perfect at all, it's just a work in progress. A WIP, as colorists in the community would call it. Now I can see that my white is lost, so I'm going to go down and grab it back because I need it right now. I highlight in white a lot. I find it adds a lot of nice shine to the overall picture. You want to be sparing with it though. You don't want to overdo. It's nice to have some stark white lines, but you don't want to have it look like it's just a bunch of white lines, obviously. Okay, so the shirt, the skin, I'm just kind of trying to fix this highlight. I find this black line I did earlier rather thick. I don't mind a black line for definition, but I don't want it to be overpowering either. I just kind of noticed that looking from afar. Not too worried about over here because there's going to be hair colored there, so it's fine. So now that I did that, I was kind of thinking of doing the glasses in a funky color. I'm trying to think of how to incorporate this now. So I'm going to go with a size 1 or 0 brush O size for the airbrush, and then I'm just gonna, I want a dark green, so I'm gonna lay this dark green down and shape these glasses. Now I absolutely adore coloring glasses, I will say. It's a lot of fun. I love playing with the light reflections that come with glasses. I love just, in general, playing with coloring the glasses. I find it fun. I'm zoomed in quite close as I'm trying to get a really detailed piece done, like very close lines, right? I'm not staying in the lines. I'm kind of restructuring these glasses to the specs that I want. That's why I used a dark color. The dark color, you won't notice it as much. The easiest way to do it was to use black, but I wanted to try it in green. Yeah, like right here. Should definitely be more across. I'm just gonna straighten it out a bit. Doesn't have to be, they look good the way they are, but just for what I'm trying to do here, I just want them looking straight. Oh, don't be, like if you're zooming in, don't be afraid to look back at your picture. And I just noticed the line here that I obviously flicked onto an area I wasn't supposed to. So it's always good to look over your work, as it does happen. But everything is fixable, so don't panic. And you're gonna want to try and make like smooth lines, and that's why I zoom in so closely. I find the best way to make nice, smooth, even lines is when you are up close. And you want to make sure you're on freehand mode. I think that it will, usually it automatically goes to freehand for grayscale, so. Okay, so there are some green glasses, but we are not even close to done with those glasses yet. I'm gonna grab this yellow. I'm gonna deepen it a bit, just a bit. Zoom in to get your straight lines. It's not looking right. Hold on. There, that's a bit better. So I got my frames colored, but that is not where it ends. I need to go back into here and pick up this bright green. And just kind of run it in lines on a low brush size across the inner parts of the glasses and segments to add a little bit of sheen. As you go, you might notice something that you missed, like I missed this little part of the glasses here. Fix stuff as you go. See, it's already has a little bit of glare to it, which is really cool. And That's kind of what I was going for, so it's a good thing. Now I'm going to keep on just kind of highlighting these small areas. And I think that's about good, to be honest, but I noticed something over here that I do have to fix. Tiny break. There. It's much better. Okay, now comes the fun part. I'm not done with the outer frames. I'm not done there yet, but I do want to start on the inner lenses. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. If you want to make it kind of quirky, you can always go with a colored lens or a colored shade in the lens. We can definitely do that. And I think for the purpose of this one, I would go for a light pale green. So what you want to do, leave it on your airbrush, leave the opacity all the way up, that's fine. And then kind of put your brush size around 30-ish. And just kind of very, very lightly, like even bring it up a bit more. Very lightly, you want to kind of dab this color in. But do not do it hard or you will not get the effect. Very light, like I'm barely even touching. And it just gives that illusion of a lens, but we're not even done yet. Don't forget, if you are zoomed in, to zoom out and check your work. Okay, so we got some green lenses going. Now let's highlight those lenses. And to highlight those lenses, I'm just gonna go to the lightest part of the green. Doesn't matter, it's very close to the white. And add these little glare spots on the lenses. Play with it. Try a couple different things. Try going close. See what works for you, but the important part is to add this illusion of lenses. And by highlighting it in white, you're making it stand out so that it's noticeable and so that it stands out as a lens. And this is why I love coloring glasses, because it's so fun. So now that we've done that, I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm gonna bring out my laser. I'm gonna bring it up a bit. I'm gonna bring the opacity down a bit, maybe right about there, I would think. We're gonna try. And I just kind of want to add some actual light reflection in the lenses. I'm going to bring it up and bring it down. Now, see how I'm playing with different opacities and I'm using different scales. I'm not just using one scale. It adds texture. It it adds something to your picture. So just be aware of that. Be aware of that and try different things. Don't be afraid to try new things. Just gonna add a little bit of green here because I just want a little bit more glare when it comes to the nose. So there is a pair of glasses that looks like lenses, right? So when it comes to the side, I want to add shine. We're gonna go to my old friend that I use quite often. I love the neon palette and I use it for a lot of grayscale pieces because when you use bright colors on grayscale pieces, they show up quite nicely. And it's almost what you need. Just kind of dab it in there to get that shine. Just kind of notice that this looks a little bit off. Lenses should go through the lashes, so I'm just gonna fix that. Little things I notice when I zoom in and out. Yeah, that looks better. And then another thing that's cool about glasses is sorry, I'm just seeing other things here, so I'm just fixing stuff as I notice them. I'm just fixing the overall highlight of this circle or U shape, I call it sometimes, from the lip. And just gonna need a little bit more shading under the nose, I think. Little tiny bit. Okay. So if you want to add a little bit more structure to your lens, you could always try doing stuff like this, where you see kind of natural lines in the lenses. These are big lenses after all, so they could do with a definition for sure. So all in all, I say that's pretty good for the lenses and the dress, or shirt, I should say. I'm just gonna do something here, going to my black, and this just looks undefined to me. So I'm just going to define it. I do this a lot when I color grayscales. I define my own lines, and I find if you do it in the right spots, it can really make your picture pop, or make certain elements of your picture pop. So that is that. Now, we have a very important decision to make, and we got to do the ear, the earring, and the hair color. So I'm going to do the ear first. I'm just going to color match from the face a dark shade, and I'm just going to plop it in here. Again, I'm no fancy tricks or anything. I'm just using airbrush right now. I know I'm not using a ton of tools for this particular piece, but that's because when I do skin, I use airbrush. Okay, so there's some, the ear's gonna kind of get overlapped, and I'm not too worried about it being hugely defined here. Even if it has just a highlight or two, because it has a beautiful earring on it. That should be more than enough definition, I think. Just gonna blend it a little bit. Okay. So the earring as it goes, it's gonna go like that. Goes down, but I'm gonna worry about the earring kind of last because I'm gonna do the hair. And I'm just thinking about what color I should do this hair. It would be pretty cool to do it a funky color. Lots of times I do this, I just kind of try colors until I find something I think works. I honestly think in this particular case, I'm going to stick with brown and use the Summer Essence. I'm just gonna I'm not gonna change the darkness because I'm gonna add highlights in this hair. But I really think brown suits the picture with the green and everything. I do like doing funky colors. I do a lot of funky colors when it comes to hair. Pinks and blues and blondie pinky blues and purples. But today we're gonna do a natural color. So I'm just filling in the hair with the airbrush tool, going around, not worrying about the flowers. I'm just making sure that I get all the areas in between them that is hair. Because we're gonna go over, like I said, we're gonna go over the flowers later, so don't worry about that. When you get to going around areas where it's getting tight, do be careful because this is actually going to be set in as her hair. We're not going to be going over the background. Well, we will be, but not. See why we do the background first though? Imagine trying to color around each one of these individual strands that you're coloring. It'd be crazy a lot of work. When you're doing the longer strands of hair, just try to do strokes. And depending on the width of hair, you want to either press down a little bit more firm or less firm, because you don't want deep strokes at the tip of the hair, for example. I'm just trying to get the top of the hair colored in. So taper off when you're going towards the end. You don't want big, thick lines for the ends of the hair. Up top it's fine, but when you get towards the end, taper off your pressure a little bit. And this is just the first step in the hair. It's basically like all the other steps. Lay your color down. Grayscale is really good too because it gives you practice. It makes you color it yourself. It makes you do all the fine details. It really is good for aspiring people who really want to be good colorists and really want to learn. It's really, really great. And I hope that this inspires you to give it a try. All I'm doing is filling in the little hair pieces and getting the color down. I get asked about hair a lot because I've done a lot of even just hairstyle pictures, and a lot of people want to know how to color hair, and it's just like skin. It's just like really any part of your picture. If you layer colors and you take your time, you can achieve some pretty nice effects. Any single color you use is just going to be a single one-dimensional color. It's all about adding to those colors and adding dimensions and adding depth. What really makes a picture stand out and what really makes a picture have character, really. Not to say that there's any which way, one way to color, there's many ways. But if you're looking for an edge, or you're looking to get a more realistic approach to your pictures, just think about that. Otherwise, you can color any way that makes you happy, because that's all it's about, is being happy and relaxing and unwinding. So I got my hair pretty much filled in here. I'm just gonna fix this area over here. So, got my hair pretty much filled in. So, that is the base color for the hair. Is that what the hair is gonna be like? There's gonna be more to this hair. So let's go back to Summer Essence, because they actually had a couple nice colors in there that I think I want to layer. So first of all, I was thinking about layering this orange. This is the color that we filled with. I was thinking about laying with the orange, getting like an orangey color in there, and then topping it off with the highlights. Now, I've done layers in hair and done quite a bit. So there's lots of layers that can be added, but let's start with those ones. Just gonna fix this. Now what you do is you just start adding very light tapered strokes from the hair growth forward in the direction that the hair is. I'm using airbrush. Now you might think it's tedious adding all these strokes. But it really will add texture. Okay, so what we were doing with the hair is just layering it with the orange. I'm gonna have to add shadows in there too. Usually I add my shadows first, but in this particular case I'm not going to. I'm gonna add my shadows in the hair last because I want to see how this color turns out. And because the hair is kind of sparsely apart, I want to blend the shadows into the picture seamlessly if I can. So it's just going to be a little bit of, it is a little bit tedious, but I mean, that if you want to know a good way to get realistic hair, this is the way to do it digitally. Sure, there's other methods to do it, but this is the way that I do it in Pigment. And it seems to work pretty good, I think. This is going to be shadows under here, but just filling it in. Like I said, I'm doing my shadows for my hair last this time, which is a bit unusual for me, but I think it's what's needed in this case. And always remember when you're doing your strokes to go in the direction of the hair. Wasn't working for a second there. Keep on going in the direction of the hair, not pressing too hard, not being too soft. If you do it soft, then you'll just get a less dramatic line. So it's up to you. It depends on how many layers you want to do. If you want less dramatic underneath, then you're going to do your more dramatic highlights on top, then by all means. But for this one, I'm going to keep it fairly low key. I'm going to do probably three, maybe 4 highlights. Kind of having technical issues right now. My pen's not picking up all of my strokes. I notice sometimes that happens when people are commenting on your work or liking your stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool looking hair, I think, when we're done. So it's not exactly brown, like I said. It's gonna be more like brown with highlights, like an auburn, I guess. I was actually thinking about doing a straight orange, but I don't know. And now I'm just kind of adding broader, thicker strokes to add those deeper highlights of the orange. Okay, so now that we did that, there is another color that I want to add in here, and it's this tan. I'm going to bring down the tan to a little bit of a lighter tone, and it's going to be our highlighting color. Actually, you know what? Scrap that. I'm going to do that, but I do actually want to add in my shadows first now, because I want my highlights to overlap my shadows. Nope, it's not on freehand mode. That's what we need. We need the freehand mode. So when you're doing your shadows, try to blend them. You don't want them to look unnatural. Try to kind of have a blended type motion to it. And the higher brush size usually achieves that. No, I don't like that. I'm not gonna put crazy shadows in this hair, just along the root line, underneath flowers, and in between the bun lines where her bun is. trying to blend it a little bit. There's gonna be more highlights going in here, so it's all gonna somewhat come together here. I need a darker color. I'm just shading underneath this hair part here because it is under the ear and it should be dark, I think. But I don't want to lose the definition of the ear, so I'm like, if any definition I lose, I'm going over it with the highlight here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Actually just had an idea while I was doing this. I kind of want to bring a nice bright orange in here. So I was thinking either the one in Serape, the one in Rainbow, or my old friend Neon, I think. I'm going to use smaller strokes for this, as in smaller brush size. So my brush size is at 0. Because this is a very bright highlight, so I want it to be a little bit undertoned. I want it to be there, but I don't want it to be crazy. And all these layers really add color, texture, and depth to your hair. Look at the way that bottom part's coming all together. This part I'm doing right here, just by adding this bright orange. Look at that, it just pops now. And always, 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 always in the direction of your hair. Whatever way the hair is going, that is where you want to put your strokes. And don't be shy to move your tablet the way you need it for coloring. I mean, if you're gonna color it better at a different angle, move your tablet or move your, like what I'm doing, move your zoom around. I find it easier to get straight lines when I'm going away from it than toward. Like going this way I find I don't, but when I go away I find it's better for me. So I try to work with that. Remember, the harder you press, the more saturated it will be. More thick it will be, I should say. It's all about understanding a lot about the pressures that you apply make a difference. Now I'm going to go to the bun and do the bun. Remember to always go in the direction that the braids are going or the bun is going, anything like that. Always the direction. It does take a while to do this, but I think it looks really good after, and I think it's worth it. I know it's worth it. And the whole point of coloring is to relax and be creative, so no rush. I'm gonna finish this up here. So how many highlights is that so far? So I did the orange, and now I'm doing this bright orange. And I'll probably do at least one more. Okay. So I think I got all the spots. Sometimes you can always kind of add. I think it looks too perfect. Don't be afraid to add a little straggler here and there. Okay. So now I'm going to use that same color, but I'm going to use it a bit thicker and a bit less throughout the hair. I'm just going to kind of put some random thicker pieces in there, but not a lot. See how you're getting like these kind of dimensional layers going on? I just kind of eye it out and see what looks right. I'm just going around, fixing, adding, texturizing. Okay, so seems all right. Adding some shading in the skin that I'm noticing. I always go back to stuff. I always see things that can be improved, so I go back to them. Okay, now I did have like a sand color in mind to do for the hair as well. Like this little beigey color, kind of add some more highlight. I think this will be the last highlight. And I'm not going to put too much of it, just enough to say it's there. I'm just adding some last minute shadows. A little bit more of that orange because it kind of got overpowered. So, I'm pretty sure that's good for the hair for right now. Now, actually, you know, I'm gonna add a little bit of shine to that hair. Why not? So I'm gonna bring down that orangey color that we used. I'm gonna bring out the laser. Gonna turn the opacity down, turn the brush size up. Opacity down more. And then you're just gonna dab it along the highlight spots very gently, in a tapping motion. Okay, now I think I'm done with hair. I'm just fixing up some shadows that I've noticed are a little bit off. So we finished most of the picture, but it does take a long time to do flowers, and I'm going to do the flowers now. And I'm also going to fix up the background at some point and kind of make it the way I was thinking. Actually, before we do that, let's do the earring. It won't be the first time I've forgotten to actually color an earring, so let's get that done. I always leave the jewelry for last, and sometimes I forget about it altogether. So I'm just doing this off yellow type color. Okay, now I'm going to grab, I guess I could use this yellow. I'm gonna go to laser tool, all the way up, opacity, brush size all the way down. And then I'm going to go to my glitter Back to my laser. Okay, so the earrings are done. So for the earrings, I used glitter, laser, and I colored it in with airbrush. So I'm just fixing up some things here that I'm noticing. Nothing crazy. It's a couple minor things. I'm adding a little bit more deep highlight to parts of the hair by using white and just kind of adding some definition. Okay. I think we're ready to do the flowers. Trying to pick out some colors here I think would be nice. I'm just filling in the flowers with airbrush, so just like what I did with the other stuff that we did, like the skin, the hair. I always fill my base color first, and then I'll add shading and highlights after. So I'm just filling I think that's a leaf. Or maybe not. Guess that's a leaf. I always have a hard time with that when I'm coloring flowers, distinguishing leaves from petals. Most of the time I just guess. It's kind of evident to me now that I'm gonna need some shading in here. Okay, so basically I'm just gonna go around and fill all these flowers and add texture. Okay, so I just lightened up these lips a bit. I wasn't digging the really almost blackish hue. Just kind of want something a little bit more natural. I'm actually using the skin tone palette for her lips right now. Yeah, I like that considerably better. Okay, now one thing that I want to take care of is the earring as well. So the earring, don't care for. So first I'm just gonna was gonna do like a gold earring. I just don't find it suits the picture. I find it stands out in a weird way and doesn't blend very nicely, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay to change things. Okay, so I just got rid of the glow. Now I kind of already had an idea about what I wanted to do, so I'm just gonna take this green here. Pretty sure it's the same palette I did for the shirt. Just gonna color in. I'm just filling it in right now. I have the airbrush tool, and I'm just filling it in with this deepened green from the Roller Rink palette. I'm just gonna get this color down. I just thought darker would be better because the lines are kind of the way the lines are in this earring. It's almost like it should be something more funky than just plain gold earring. Okay, so I got that. Now I'm going to go back to my Roller Rink palette, airbrush, and I'm going to use the lighter shade of this green just to kind of highlight. I'm going to use this green to go over it again. And then I'm going to use this green to go over it again. Then I'm going to use this yellow I'm just trying to blend it so the earring is kind of behind the hair a bit. And I'll go to my laser yellow. Just kind of add some shine. And I find that that blends in a little bit nicer than how it was before. Simple, it's not like it was complicated to fix or nothing, it's just, I just found it's kind of stood out. Okay, so overall, portrait, I'm just doing last minute shading touch-ups here. Overall, portrait is done, minus the little shading touch-ups I'm doing. I always kind of go through my picture after and see if there's anything that could be a little bit better. I need something. Okay. Okay, so there we go. There is our lady, complete. I like her a lot. I think she looked pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with her so far. I'm gonna see, I might not do much of the background, but I'm just gonna try adding a little bit of light flare, see if I like it or not. So I'm gonna go to my plasma. Gonna bring the brush size up to about, I don't know, 60. I'm just gonna leave the opacity where it is. I'm just gonna dab kind of lightly around. Just to give it some flair. I was gonna do like a galaxy background, but I should have made my background a little bit darker. So I'm just gonna put some light flare in there. And I'm gonna go to my laser. Kind of fun just to add a little bit of something in the background. I'm just using a laser, doing dots, different sizes, close together, some bigger, further apart. Okay, and this is pretty much the end of the line, minus me putting more dots in. I really hope that you guys had fun watching me color this beautiful piece by our new featured artist, Xavier Arts. I hope to do another one from her work, and dark skin tones were covered here, some light reflections in the glasses, kind of a pattern textured dress, hair, flowers. So there was definitely a lot in this tutorial. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully we can do it again soon. All right, everybody, take care. This is Brianne from Pigment. Bye.